Hello, my name is Josh, and I'm joined here with my friend Willie and my good friend
What's up?
Smoke,
Hey, hey.
and we are the All American Spookshow podcast.
Welcome to the All American Spook Show podcast. We hope you enjoy the show.
This is our first episode, and so it's probably going to sound a little rough. I'm not going to lie, but hey, you work out the kinks as you go along, right?
Bear with us.
That's all you can do.
Especially audio wise, because it may or may not sound like complete shit. All right, so on today's inaugural episode, we are going to be discussing the 1985 horror classic film Re-Animator. I guess we should, kind of back up a little bit and say like what we're going to be talking about here on this show in general. We'll be talking about horror movies, cult favorites, TV shows, whatever strikes our fancy. Probably mostly movies, maybe certain episodes of certain maybe horror anthology shows like Twilight Zone, Tales from the Dark Side, maybe stuff like that every once in a while.
Yep, some Joe Bob Briggs, because I know he's supposed to be coming back to Shudder.
Mm-hmm. Which we're all excited about that, except for Willie. Here's the thing, like myself, I love horror movies. I mean, we all love horror movies, but I love them. I've watched a lot of them, but not as many as Smoke.
Yeah, I could end up also because I got quite a bit of age on me. I'm not going to put a number out there, but
Don't worry, he's 65. What we're gonna but what we do is we'll discuss these horror movies, these cult films, whatever we feel like doing this week or this particular show. And Will comes from a different perspective than maybe either of us. Wouldn't you say, Will?
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy horror movies, but over my life, I haven't really necessarily seeked them out.
So, movies like, say, today's movie, have you ever seen it before?
Never seen it, never even heard of it.
So that's going to be a completely different side of the coin from either one of us, and especially Smoke. And it'll probably
I can't really put a number on how many times I've seen it yet. I hadn't really thought about it, but it's been more than a few times.
Same here. I mean, if I had to put a number on it, I'd say 4 or 5 times. Before this viewing for this. So yeah, I mean, and that's just one example. This movie here. We'll see as time goes on, and how many times if Will has seen it, how he reacts to it, should be fairly unique. So either of you guys been watching anything new lately, like something different other than what we just watched? Any TV shows, any movies? Will?
About really the only thing even close to horror related would probably be The Walking Dead. Been watching and reading that religiously for years, but past that, I can't think of anything that would be horror related.
Well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be horror related. I mean, anything recently or like any movies?
Right now I'm blasting through like the last couple seasons of the DC shows, like Flash and Arrow, stuff like that.
Will and I both collect comic books pretty seriously, or at least I collect them pretty seriously these days. Will, I think, has kind of pulled it back a neutral a little bit. But yeah, we've both been reading comics for years and collecting, so that kind of thing may come up in the course of these shows over the year, or over time.
That works for me too, because it's been. I mean, unfortunately, I haven't religiously been able to keep up with reading as much comics as I used to. Financial wise, you got so many tapes, so many DVDs, so many Blu-rays I buy, then some things go to the side. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to keep up with the comics themselves. Now the movies, I go and watch pretty much every superhero movie that comes out. And I know a lot of the backstory about certain stories, story arcs from the 80s and 90s, but some of the newer story arcs I'm probably a little in the dark on.
And I will say that it's an expensive habit.
Oh, yes, definitely.
I mean, it's not like doing crack cocaine, but it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, that's true. It can get up there, especially then you got 4K movies coming out and all the special editions and steel books, and things of that nature.
Oh yeah, no doubt. So, Smoke, what about you? Any movies, TV shows, anything recent you might want to throw out there?
Yeah, I both. Well, of course, Re-Animator. Like I said, I've seen it. I don't know how many times now, but I did rewatch again not too long ago with the Joe Bob Briggs when he was on Shutter, however many months ago it was now. He played Re-Animator again, so I watched it again then too. So, but
I
more
haven't got up to that one myself, but
Go ahead.
I did watch the first few movies of that, the Last Drive-In.
Yeah, I saw most of it. I think I had a few still left there at the end.
How many was
to
it? Like
catch up on.
12, 13 movies, something like that?
12 or 13. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He kept exaggerating too. That was one of the things he'd do. He's like, "Oh, we're trying to get through. We got another 100 and something movies to get through." He keep exaggerating the number at each show or whatever. But yeah, I think it ended up being something like 13.
So again, me
But,
coming from
yeah,
kind of out of nowhere, like who is this guy?
Oh, Joe Bob Briggs.
Smoke, I'll
Yeah.
let you take that one.
He's been hosting. I'm not sure I like exactly how long it's been now, but I know he started out back in, at least coming to the public attention, well, national attention, probably back in the early 80s, I'd say. 'Cause he had a column he was writing in a paper for a while, like reviewing movies and things like that. And then he got a show on, I want to say maybe Movie Channel might have been the first
Yeah, I believe it was the movie
series
channel.
he hosted. Right. And then Monster Vision, and I forget, might have to help me out if you remember, Josh, what channels they were on, but I think TNT maybe had Monster Vision.
Yeah, I believe it was TNT. Yep. Because I think I remember
And
I remember seeing him on the movie channel or Showtime, whatever it was, back in like the late '80s, early '90s. And then then but I do remember Monster Vision at TNT in the '80s. He's a movie host.
Okay.
I guess it'd be
the
the
host
easiest.
that
Yeah.
they gives out, and he's got a lot of humor that he adds into it. And there's a little his rating system that he has is based on how many boobs are in the movie, how much violence is in the movie, you know. Oh, and whether there's like, kung fu or there's whatever fu. So if somebody's fighting with some odd implement, it's
Axe
like
Foo.
ketchup bottle fu or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's very entertaining to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just horror silliness, I guess. I guess not too far from like something like an Elvira or a Svengoolie or something like that. If you know.
It's just he's not as well endowed as Elvira, but
well,
he's got a lot of information about it.
Yeah, that's a little different. But is there anything else you've been watching lately? TV, just that, some other stuff.
Unfortunately, my TV watching is, as far as TV shows right now, is kind of slim and none because we had just recently moved not too long ago, and I currently don't have satellite or cable TV, so we're just kind of streaming things.
Mm-hmm.
So mostly movies. Unfortunately, I've been an avid Walking Dead watcher for ever since it started, but I'm kind of jonesing for that, and I'm probably got to break down and buy the episode by episode on Amazon or something after they air.
Yeah, I have. We cut the cord a few years ago, and for most of that kind of stuff, like newer TV, I have YouTube TV because it has an unlimited it has an unlimited DVR. And catch up on it that way, and it has AMC.
Oh, gotcha. Definitely mind checking into that then myself.
Yeah, Will, you have it as well, right? YouTube TV.
Oh yeah, I love it. I would definitely recommend it to anybody. Now, having said that, like you cut the cord, but then you're still paying, like $40 a month. You're just paying a different devil, I guess.
Well, you have to remember too, when you're paying Dish Network, DirecTV, whatever cable, you're paying well over $100 a month.
Yeah.
Probably knocking on 150, depending on how many channels, this and that and the other thing. So you have to put it in context of, yeah, you're still paying a little bit of change out of your pocket, but it's not nearly as bad as cable or satellite, and you're not locked into the contracts.
So you can get a little bit more specialized now too. With like I know I pay about $10 a month here and there for certain things, like Shutter, for instance.
Yeah.
There was another channel that's all sort of horror related. I can't think of what it is right now. Each one of these little companies too are starting to put their own little things out, like Vinegar Syndrome and all these different horror related and cult film related companies.
They're going to
have streaming services.
They're going to be five and diming us to death, in the next
That's
five,
right.
in the next 5 years or so, man. Like you'll be paying for like a $5 streaming service here, a $5 streaming service there. I have access to Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime. and then YouTube TV. I think between all those, man, I can watch just about anything I want to watch.
True, yeah. Yep. I pretty much have all those too except for the YouTube TV, but I might have to check into that for Walking Dead purposes.
So I guess that's kind of that. So like I said, this week we're going to go into the classic horror. How would you qualify it? Horror, cult, comedy.
Comedy, yeah, I would put
Thriller?
comedy in there. I would say I even go so far as to say there's probably, at least for my money, one of the top horror comedies there is out there. I'm not the hugest fan of horror comedy unless it's done right, like this one.
But it came out in 1985. So I guess here we'll go ahead and play the trailer so you can kind of get a idea of what to expect here.